She paid $600 to rent a fake boyfriend for one night. But what she got was a man who owned the wedding venue, her ex's pride, and eventually, her heart. What started as revenge turned into a love story no one saw coming. But here's the twist. When she found out his secret, she almost walked away forever. Will love survive when trust is shattered? You won't believe how this story ends. If that hooked you even a little, don't scroll. Hit subscribe so you never miss a twist like this. Drop a comment if you've ever trusted the wrong person or found love in the most unexpected place. And share this video with someone who believes in second chances, because this isn't just a story. It's a roller coaster you don't want to ride alone. Let's keep the story going. Chloe Parker didn't cry when Ethan dumped her. Not when he told her she was too much of a dreamer. Not when he walked away with his pressed suits and practical life plans, leaving her with a half-finished dress collection and a studio that still smelled like burnt coffee and cheap fabric glue. But she cried, actually cried, when she opened the envelope. Heavy cardstock, gold foil, embossed lettering that practically screamed entitlement. You are invited to the wedding of Ethan Miles and Cassandra Lee. Date Saturday. Location, the Skylight Ballroom. Dress code, black tie. Cassandra Lee. Of course it was Cassandra. Trust fund royalty. Ivy League. The type of girl who got engagement features in brides before the ring hit her finger. Chloe's throat tightened. Not because she missed Ethan, she didn't. But because the universe just sent her an engraved reminder, you lost. And not just to anyone. To someone with power pedigree and the perfect Instagram smile. She tossed the invite onto the kitchen table. But it didn't end there. That night, scrolling mindlessly through her feed, the slap came, a group shot from Cassandra's bridal brunch. Champagne, white roses, captioned by one of her polished friends. Some people only belong in the audience, not the aisle. 347 likes. 1. Chloe Parker. 0 dignity. That was the final punch. Chloe stood up, wiped her eyes, and opened her laptop. She typed one phrase into Google, like a war cry, professional date for formal event NYC. What she found wasn't sketchy. It was sleek, discreet, and oddly expensive. Profiles of men who weren't just escorts, they were trained performers. Sophisticated, quiet, unattached. She scrolled past a few try-hard smiles, over airbrushed headshots bios filled with adventurous world-traveled and great dancer. Until one profile stopped her. Logan Reed. No smile, no fluff. Just a headshot, black suit, clean lines, no visible ego. Bio available for events. Discreet, professional, adaptive. $600 flat rate. Something about the simplicity made her hesitate. Too perfect, too polished, too controlled. Still she clicked, request booking. Need a date for my ex's wedding. Must play the boyfriend role. No flirting, no improvising. Keep it clean and convincing. Black tie. She hit send. Instantly regretted it. Who hires a fake date for a wedding? Who stoops that low? 2 minutes later. Reply received. Logan Reed. Confirmed. Name, time, and meeting place. I'll be there. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Her pulse drummed in her ears. Chloe, tomorrow. 6:30 p.m. Cafe Orlin. Quiet booth. We go over details then. Logan. See you then. The next day, Chloe arrived 10 minutes early because she hated being late, and she really hated feeling like the one chasing anything. Logan was already there, alone, calm, reading a menu like it was a legal contract. When she approached, he stood. Miss Parker, Mr. Reed. The handshake was brief, warm. No awkward smile, no lingering stare. He gestured to the seat across from him. She sat, pulled out a folder, like she was pitching a business plan. Let's get straight to it, she said. The wedding's this Saturday. My name is Chloe Parker. The ex is Ethan Miles. He dumped me 6 months ago and is now marrying Cassandra Lee. I want to show up with someone who looks like I've already won. That's you. Logan nodded. No smirk, no ego. 3-year relationship. We met in Paris bookstore. First date I spilled wine on his shirt, he laughed. You've been traveling a lot lately, so no one from my side has met you. She paused, then added with a bitter twist, I don't want to impress anyone. I want to shut them up." He raised an eyebrow, but still said nothing. Just listened. Really listened. When the meeting ended, Logan stood and slipped a simple card across the table. "If things get uncomfortable, say the word sunflower 3 times." Loudly. Chloe blinked. "What?" Like a code word, like a promise. "If something goes wrong, I handle it." She stared at him, unsure whether to be creeped out or impressed. Maybe both. She tucked the card into her purse. Outside, rain hit the pavement in rhythmic sheets. Chloe didn't run for cover. She stood there, staring at the cafe window, where Logan still sat, now sipping black coffee again, completely unbothered, unreadable. Who the hell was this guy? No small talk, no compliments, no fake charm, just presence. For a man being paid to play pretend, he didn't feel pretend at all. She turned away, pulled her coat tighter, and walked into the night, heart pounding faster than it should have. This wasn't about love. This was about power. But something told her she might have just rented more than a date. She might have invited chaos to the party. Chloe Parker had made 100 questionable decisions in her 28 years. But sitting across from Logan Reed, she had a gut feeling this one would top them all. He wasn't charming. He wasn't trying. He didn't need to. The man wore confidence, like it was tailored onto him. Smooth jawline, slick dark hair, and posture that screamed, "I don't ask for attention. It just follows me." The cafe buzzed with soft music and clinking cups. But at their corner booth, the air felt heavier, like something real was about to be signed. Chloe slid her phone across the table screen, lit with notes. "Let's make this clear. You'll act as my boyfriend 3 years strong. We met in Paris. Our first date was a wine disaster, and you've been traveling constantly ever since. That's why no one's met you." Logan glanced at the screen, nodded once. "Got it. We're together at the wedding. We hold hands, we smile, we pose for pictures. And then," she leaned forward, "we never speak again. No emotion. No reaction. Just one sip of coffee." "Understood." But Chloe needed more than confirmation. She needed logic, clarity, sanity. You charge $600. You show up like you walked off the cover of Forbes, and you don't flinch when I ask you to fake a 3-year relationship in front of my ex and a crowd of rich, judgmental people. That doesn't add up. She folded her arms. "What's the catch?" Logan looked her straight in the eye. "Some people don't need the money. They need the perspective." Chloe blinked. "That's vague." "Exactly." There was something magnetic about him, like a cliff edge. Beautiful, dangerous. You wanted to lean closer just to see if he'd pull you back, or let you fall. But she didn't have time to psychoanalyze her paid +1. She needed results, control, revenge. "One weekend," she said. "That's all. No phone numbers exchanged, no contact after. You disappear, and I go back to pretending I've moved on." Logan tilted his head, slightly amused, not mocking. "Sounds like we're both pretending something." She ignored that. "So, do we shake on it, or do you have some official contract in your briefcase?" Logan reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out of all things a simple paper card. He handed it over. It read, "Name Logan Reed, service one-time appearance. Discreet, no follow-ups. Status confirmed. Code word for emergency exit sunflower." Chloe raised an eyebrow. "Sunflower? That your favorite flower or something?" "No. No, just easy to remember. If you say it 3 times, I handle it. No questions asked. Handle what?" "Whatever needs handling." For a second, she stared at him, trying to find a crack, a tell. Something in his eyes that said con artist, or emotionally unstable, or probably working a dozen women at once. But there was nothing. Just calm. Stillness. It unsettled her more than it should have. "You're not what I expected," she said finally. "You expected charming and harmless. No. I expected someone trying to upsell me champagne or talk about his side hustle in crypto." He smirked. "Just a little, finally. Sorry to disappoint." They stood up together. She gathered her things. As they stepped outside, Logan paused. "Chloe." "Yeah, don't worry. I'm very good at pretending." She nodded, but a chill slid down her spine. It wasn't the cold. It was the way he said it, like he wasn't pretending at all. That night, Chloe lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Her thoughts raced faster than her heartbeat. This wasn't a date. It wasn't even a game. It was war. And Logan Reed was her weapon. But deep down, under the adrenaline and anger, she felt something she hadn't expected: excitement. Not for the wedding, not even for the revenge, but for him. And that scared her more than anything. Saturday, 6:45 p.m. Sharp. The black SUV pulled up to the entrance of the Skylight Ballroom, Manhattan's crown jewel of luxury event spaces. Crystal chandeliers, marble pillars, rooftop views of the Hudson. The kind of place where only millionaires said "I do," and where Chloe Parker had no business pretending she belonged. Except tonight, she did, because stepping out of that car with her was Logan Reed, tall, timeless, terrifyingly composed. He offered her his arm. "You ready?" "As I'll ever be." Her navy silk dress shimmered under the lights. His tux looked hand-stitched by the gods. Heads turned the second they entered the lobby, and for the first time in months, Chloe wasn't invisible. The hostess greeted them near the check-in table. "Name Chloe Parker, +1. The woman looked at Logan and instantly straightened her posture. "Mr. Reed, welcome." Chloe blinked. "Wait, what?" But Logan simply nodded and guided her toward the main ballroom like nothing happened. The room was a sea of champagne flutes and cold smiles. Black and gold decor, white roses, a live quartet. Guests dressed in couture. At the far end of the hall, Ethan Miles stood laughing with his groomsmen until he saw her. His face dropped, then froze, then smiled, but the kind of smile that hides a grenade behind perfect teeth. He walked over with Cassandra Lee, trailing behind, radiant in a gown that probably cost more than Chloe's car. "Chloe," Ethan said, voice smooth but tight. "Didn't expect to see you tonight." "Oh, I RSVP'd. Right, of course." His eyes shifted to Logan, calculating, assessing. "And this must be—" "Logan," she said quickly. "My boyfriend." Ethan's jaw ticked. Logan extended his hand. "Logan Reed." There was a pause. Ethan took the hand. Instant tension. Silent grip war. Logan didn't flinch. "Nice to meet you," Ethan said through clenched teeth. And then came Cassandra, with a sugary voice dipped in venom. "Wow. Chloe, you clean up nice. And your date. Well, looks like someone won the fake boyfriend lottery." The girl standing nearby snorted. Chloe forced a smile. "Some of us play to win, Cassandra." Logan didn't say a word. He didn't have to. His presence was louder than anything spoken. Minutes later, the event coordinator approached their table with a clipboard and a headset. She smiled at Logan and said, "Mr. Reed, just confirming everything's running on schedule. Let me know if you want the lighting dimmed for the toast." Chloe nearly choked on her wine. "I'm sorry. Did you say Mr. Reed?" The woman blinked. "Yes. The owner. You approved the new wine list last week." Silence. Chloe's heart slammed into her ribs. "Logan Reed owns the Skylight Ballroom." She whipped around. "You didn't mention this." Logan looked straight ahead. "Didn't seem relevant. You own the venue?" "Technically the building. The management company handles events." "You're a landlord," he shrugged. "I'm a few things." Chloe stared at him. Her $600 escort just casually turned out to be the man signing off on the damn wedding contract. Across the room, Ethan's expression darkened. He'd heard it. He was watching. Cassandra leaned in, whispering something that made Ethan's jaw tighten even more. Chloe wasn't supposed to win tonight. She wasn't supposed to look radiant, or confident, or escorted by someone who clearly wasn't just a nobody. She was supposed to show up alone, shrinking, defeated. But here she was with a man who made tuxedos look like armor and exes look like amateurs. A guest from the finance world recognized Logan near the bar. "Mr. Reed, you're here." "Thought you were overseas again." Logan nodded politely. "Quick trip back. Still investing in hospitality." "A little of everything." "Well, whoever you're here with." He glanced toward Chloe. "She's lucky." Chloe heard it. So did Ethan. So did half the room. And that was the moment everything shifted. Not just the power dynamic, the story, the narrative, the silence that used to surround Chloe Parker shattered. Logan leaned toward her slightly. "Still want to disappear after this?" Chloe's pulse thudded in her ears. "I haven't decided." He raised an eyebrow. "Let me know." Then he reached for her hand, not for show, not for the crowd. It was just for her. And for the first time, Chloe wasn't thinking about revenge. She was thinking about what the hell she'd just walked into, and who this man really was. The wedding was supposed to be over. The vows had been said, the champagne had been poured, and the last bite of overpriced cake had been served. Chloe was just steps from the exit, her heels aching, her hand still loosely wrapped in Logan's. But Ethan wasn't finished. He cornered her near the coat check alone. "You know," he started, smiling without warmth, "I gotta hand it to you." "For what?" Chloe asked, already annoyed. "For the performance." He leaned in. "You hired a front row seat to make a scene." Bold. Before she could respond, Logan appeared out of nowhere, quiet, poised, but his eyes locked on Ethan, like a switchblade behind glass. "She didn't hire a scene." His voice was calm, low, deadly. "She didn't need to rent respect. You just never gave it." The silence that followed was deafening. Ethan opened his mouth to respond, but Logan had already turned to Chloe. "Let's go." And just like that, they walked out. No theatrics, no parting shots. But somehow, Logan had said everything Chloe had ever wanted someone to say on her behalf. They didn't talk much in the car. The tension from the wedding still clung to her skin, thick like humidity after a storm. But it wasn't anger. Not anymore. It was something else. Gratitude, confusion, and maybe something dangerously close to admiration. When they got to her apartment, Chloe invited him up. "For a drink," she said. "Just one?" Logan asked, eyebrow raised. She smirked. "Don't get cocky." In the kitchen, Chloe kicked off her heels and pulled out 2 glasses and a bottle of Pinot Noir. Logan rolled up his sleeves and asked where she kept her knives. "What are you doing?" "You said a drink, not takeout. You've been on your feet all night. Sit." So she did. And for the next hour, they cooked, not in silence, not with forced banter, but with the kind of rhythm that only happens when 2 people move well in each other's space. He chopped garlic like a pro. She sautéed mushrooms with one hand and poured wine with the other. They traded stories, funny ones, stupid ones, the kind you only tell at 1 a.m. when the world feels softer. "Why'd you take the job?" she asked, finally. "You're clearly not doing this for the cash." Logan set down his fork, met her eyes. "Because you looked like you needed someone who'd see you." She wasn't expecting that. It hit like a quiet bomb. "So you just—" "What?" "Saw a broken girl and thought, hey, let me play savior for $600. He leaned in. "No, I saw a woman who deserved to win once, just once, without conditions." The room fell silent, and Chloe, who had always hated silence, didn't move, didn't speak, didn't blink, because somewhere between the ceremony and the garlic bread, something real had started to form, and it scared her. Later, sitting on the couch with bare feet tucked under her, Chloe broke the quiet. "So what happens after tonight?" Logan took a long breath. "That's up to you." The clock ticked past 2 a.m. The wine was gone. The dishes were stacked in the sink, and for the first time in a long time, Chloe felt full, not just from food, but from presence, from being seen. Not for what she made, not for how she looked, but for who she was. And even though they'd started with a contract, Chloe couldn't deny what had changed. This wasn't acting anymore. And that was the problem. She watched him, as he stood to leave, same calm posture, same quiet grace. "Chloe," he said gently, "you don't have to prove anything to anyone anymore." Then he walked out, and left her heart more shaken than it had been all night. It had been 3 weeks since the wedding. 3 quiet, almost magical weeks. Chloe and Logan had slipped into something neither of them dared define. No titles, no expectations. But there was rhythm. Late-night talks, morning texts, dinner made together not because they had to, but because they wanted to. It felt like the kind of intimacy that didn't need permission. And Chloe, for once, had stopped looking over her shoulder. Until she did. She was meeting with a friend, Natalie, a tech investor with a razor-sharp mouth and sharper eyes. They were at a coffee shop near Union Square, Chloe rattling on about a new textile prototype she was developing. Her eyes sparkled when she talked about it, her voice full of the kind of excitement she used to fake. Natalie raised an eyebrow. "You know one of the VCs backing your competitor's line? Is someone named Reed, right?" Chloe froze. "Reed?" "Yeah. Reed Holdings just did a massive funding round for various studios last quarter. They're going after the same sustainability niche as your label? No. The coffee in Chloe's hand suddenly felt too hot to hold. Reed Holdings, Logan Reed, Sustainable Fashion Investments, the Skylight Ballroom, $600. Some people don't need the money. They need the perspective. Suddenly, it all clicked. He didn't just walk into her life. He calculated it. That night, Chloe didn't text him back. She didn't call. She paced. She questioned everything, every moment, every smile, every word that once felt sacred. And then she did something she swore she wouldn't. She showed up at his apartment. He opened the door in a t-shirt and sweatpants, holding a mug of tea like nothing was broken. But Chloe stepped in with the kind of energy that only comes from betrayal. Did you invest in various studios? His face changed, subtly, quietly. Chloe, don't. Chloe, me? She snapped. Just answer. Did you? He nodded once. No excuses, no lies. Yes. Her breath caught. So, what was this, a data gathering mission? Were you profiling me for industry insight, tracking my pitch decks, watching how I designed so you could scale it better? No, he said instantly. But she was already spiraling. You came into my life like some fairy tale fix. You showed up at that wedding, owned the building, owned the moment, owned me. And now I find out you've been building up my competition while holding my hand. It's not what you think. She laughed bitter and broken. That's exactly what people say when it's exactly what I think. He set the mug down. Calmly, too calmly. You think I planned this? That I read a market report, found a desperate designer, and decided to seduce her for a SWOT analysis, didn't you know? But I get why it looks that way. She shook her head. I trusted you. His voice dropped softer now. I can't answer anything when you're this angry. But I can tell you one thing. What I never not once saw you as data. That stopped her. Because it didn't sound like a line. It sounded like the truth. But truth wasn't enough right now. Not when her pride was screaming louder than her heart. You said we'd disappear after the wedding, she said, voice shaking. Maybe that's the one part of the contract we should actually keep. She turned and walked out before he could respond, before she changed her mind, before she remembered how good it felt when he looked at her like she was the only real thing in a world full of numbers and lies. Outside, the air was cold, but Chloe didn't feel it. She walked fast, furious, fragile, and somewhere deep down terrified. Not because he'd fooled her, but because he hadn't. Because even now she still wanted him to chase after her. And he didn't. 3 days. That's how long it had been since Chloe walked out of Logan's apartment with fire in her chest and heartbreak in her throat. She hadn't heard from him since. No calls, no texts, no apologies. And maybe that was what hurt the most, the silence. She told herself she didn't want to hear from him. She told herself cutting him off was strength. But every time her phone buzzed, her heart still hoped it was him. It never was. Until it was. It came in an envelope, thick, crisp, and sealed with wax. No sender name, no logo. Just her name handwritten in Logan's exact, careful handwriting. She opened it. Inside was a single letter, and a document that looked like a legal contract. Chloe. I never wanted to be the reason you doubted yourself. I never wanted to be part of your pain. So I did the only thing I could think of. I pulled out. Various studios. I'm no longer involved. My equity stake is dissolved. My name is off every board, every email chain, every investor doc. And in its place, I made a new one. Read the papers. You'll find my newest investment. You. Status. Funded by love. Term forever. You can tear it up, or you can meet me. I'll be on the rooftop where we first watched the city lights in silence, the silence that finally made sense. L. Chloe didn't think. She didn't call. She grabbed her coat and ran. Not walked, not strolled, ran. Through the lobby of her building, past cab horns and traffic and blaring neon lights. Up 12 floors, 2 stairs at a time. Her chest was tight, not from the sprint, but from everything she still felt. She burst through the rooftop door, and there he was. Logan stood near the edge, hands in his pockets, hair, wind-swept eyes fixed on the city skyline like he hadn't moved in hours. He turned the second he heard her. No smile, just realness. You came. You left me no choice. He gave a small nod. I figured paperwork would speak louder than flowers. Chloe took a step forward. You actually gave up your stake. That's millions. Money comes back. Trust doesn't. She studied him, hard. Why'd you invest in Varia in the first place? Because I thought I could learn from them. About the market. About the industry. And me. He exhaled slowly. You were never a strategy. You were the mistake I wanted to make. The kind of risk no spreadsheet could justify. He paused. Falling for you wasn't the plan, Chloe. But it's the only thing I've done lately that felt right. The wind picked up, brushing loose strands of her hair across her face. She looked down at the file still clutched in her hand. The investment papers. Her name at the top. Logan's signature at the bottom. He wasn't bluffing. He'd actually walked away from a multi-million-dollar venture. For her. You didn't have to do this, she whispered. I know you didn't owe me anything. I know. But you did it anyway. Because I believe in what you're building. He stepped closer. And I believe in you. Chloe's voice cracked. You hurt me, I know. But damn it, you also saw me when no one else did. He took her hand, gently. No force, no push, just a presence. This isn't about guilt, Chloe. It's not about proving anything. It's about choosing you. Without conditions. Without contracts. He pulled a folded slip from his jacket. This is the only thing I want you to sign. She unfolded it. It was a sticky note. 3 words written in pen dinner. Tomorrow night. Chloe laughed. A real laugh. The kind that comes after a storm. You're lucky you're cute. You're lucky I'm obsessed. She nodded, her smile soft but full. Okay, but I'm paying. Deal. But I'm cooking. They stood together, the city lights glowing below them, not saying much, but saying everything. And just like that, the girl who hired a fake date to reclaim her pride found herself falling in love with a man who tore down his empire just to build hers. 6 months later, the lights dimmed, the crowd hushed, and Chloe Parker, former broke designer ex of a man who never believed in her, and woman once on the edge of giving up, stood backstage shaking. Tonight was her first runway show. Her name, Chloe Parker Atelier, shimmered in gold across the LED wall at the end of the catwalk. Buyers, stylists, editors, and influencers packed the room. She saw her old professor from Parsons in the 3rd row. She spotted Natalie, her brutally honest investor friend, right up front phone, ready to post. But her eyes searched for one person. And then she saw him, Logan, standing in the wings, not center stage, not in the spotlight, just behind it, like he'd always been. The show began. One by one, her models walked the runway in Chloe's debut collection, minimalist silhouettes, bold textures, sustainable fabrics. The crowd responded with soft gasps and approving murmurs. Some even applauded mid-walk. It was more than fashion. It was her story, stitched into every hem. And the final look, a navy blue silk gown, the exact color of the dress Chloe wore to Ethan's wedding. The moment that started it all. When the last model disappeared behind the curtain, Chloe stepped out. The applause exploded. Cameras flashed. But Chloe didn't speak right away. She took a breath, looked straight into the lights. 6 months ago, I paid $600 to fake love for one night, and instead, she paused. The room leaned in. I got a future. The audience went quiet again, not out of confusion, but out of pure emotion. She smiled toward the wings. This show wouldn't exist without the man who reminded me I was worth betting on. That's when Logan stepped forward, dressed in a black suit, calm, confident, real. He walked onto the runway like he belonged there, not because he needed attention, but because she was the spotlight, and he was always meant to meet her there. The crowd whispered, murmuring. Was this real? Was this staged? Chloe's heart thundered. And then Logan turned to her, pulled something from his pocket, a ring box. But this wasn't any ring. It was a minimalist gold band, and inside, engraved in tiny lettering, just one number, 600. You paid me $600, he said, voice carrying just enough. And I gave you a contract, a role, a front row seat at a lie. He stepped closer. But what I got was you. Chloe's eyes filled. And I never wanted the job to end. He knelt. The room went still. So now I'm offering something else. No contracts, no code words, no pretending, just forever. Chloe Parker, will you marry me? The crowd erupted. Screams, cheers, people on their feet. And Chloe, tears streamed down her cheeks as she laughed and nodded and said yes. Yes, you absolute idiot. Of course I will. Flashbulbs went off like fireworks. Someone tossed flower petals from the back row. A camera caught the exact second Logan slipped the 600 ring onto her finger and kissed her like they'd waited years for this moment. Because maybe deep down, they had. From hired date to forever love. From heartbreak to headlines. From $600 to everything. Chloe Parker didn't just design clothes anymore. She wore power. She walked love. And she owned the only runway that ever really mattered, her own. Sometimes life takes us on unexpected detours, painful breakups, public humiliation, or moments when we feel like we've hit rock bottom. But as Chloe's story reminds us, rock bottom isn't the end, it's the foundation for a comeback. She hired someone to fake affection only to discover real love hidden behind the act. What started as a scheme to save face turned into a journey of self-worth growth and healing. And perhaps the most powerful part. When trust was broken, it wasn't grand gestures or money that fixed it. It was honesty, sacrifice, and choosing love, even when it's hard. The real lesson here: never underestimate your value. Don't let someone else's success story make you feel small. Because sometimes, when you think you're renting a temporary solution, life hands you something permanent, unexpected, and beautiful. Have you ever been in a situation that turned out completely different than you expected? Better or worse? Tell us in the comments below. We'd love to hear your story. And if you believe in second chances, real love and plot twists worth waiting for, hit that subscribe button and join us for more stories that move you.